So for those who have joined for the very first time, I would highly recommend you to go through these videos because we shared a lot of details and we will be continuing from there. So let's get started for today's session. So this is day three. Let's get started. Let me close this. And now we have been talking about in the last section, we talked about the Snowflake data warehouse instance and the different layers with the Snowflake data warehouse and how a query is processed in the Snowflake data warehouse. So we saw that how a user through a browser sends the query to Snowflake data warehouse and how it is done by, layer by layer. Okay. So first of all, that how that query hits the cloud services layer, and then it hits the virtual warehouses layer, and how the virtual warehouses layer takes the data from storage layer, and then how it goes all the way back to the user. And now we all do know this thing. So this thing we already always have to keep in mind that the Snowflake data warehouse is a pre-packaged software available on the. So we do not have like an installation file like we have for other softwares which you might have used, for example, the Python, Snowflake, your MySQL server, Oracle database, and other databases which are there in the market. For that, we get an installation file. And that installation file we use to install on our laptop or some other machine, and then we can start using it. Whereas in the Snowflake data warehouse is a pre-packaged software which is already installed on someone else's machine. So that is why it is available on the cloud for us. Okay. And then because it is pre-packaged software, we do not have to install anything. We can just create the instance of the Snowflake data warehouse and then get started with that. So today, this is what we are going to do. Okay. Before that, we want to have a question. So we will start with something. Okay, so let's say a manager of your organization, of a manager of your organization comes to you, comes to you uh, with request, with a request. So okay. So what he says is that hey, whoso what you can think of your name, and he says that hey, there is a new client which is coming up, and that is a very new client who wants to have the Snowflake data warehouse POC. So they want to see the different features in the Snowflake data warehouse. They want to see how the Snowflake data warehouse works, and what all are the different things which we need to consider. So I need you to prepare a document and also work on this POC where you will show the client what are all the different features we get in Snowflake Data Warehouse, how we can create a Snowflake Data Warehouse account, and what all constraints we have to take care of while creating the Snowflake Data. So you are given a responsibility ability to create a POC, proof of concept, for a new US-based client. Okay. There are some details which they have shared with us in addition to some questions. Okay. Total class have been done in this class. So Nishan, very good morning. Thank you for your question. So Nishan, this is the third session of the Snowflake Data Warehouse. The previous two sessions which we have discussed, they are already there in the YouTube channel group. So I would highly recommend you to go there and check the first session and this. Okay. So there are three constraints which the client wants to know. Okay. So the very first thing is that it is a US-based client. And then there are a few things they want to understand as part of this POC, how you will implement this Snowflake data warehouse, for example, um, which cloud provider they should use. Right? And you should have to come up with all the different answers to this question. Okay, which cloud provider they should go with, which edition of the Snowflake data warehouse they should go with, and then again, how much storage is good for them, for example. And then one more thing which they have in their mind is that in this POC, they want to implement this POC for 4 teams. Okay, so they are having 4 teams. So the very first team is for data scientists, and the second team is, of course, the data analysts, and then the third team which they want to have being onboarded to this Snowflake data warehouse account is the database admin. And the fourth team which they want to implement or they want to onboard onto Snowflake data warehouse is the testing team. So they want these four kind of teams into the Snowflake data warehouse POC so that they can see how this will actually look like. And then on top of that, they have told us that the data scientists, there will be two data scientists and there are going to be four data analysts, one database admin and two testing people. In total, they are going to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or we can also make it to 10 people. So in all, they want to onboard 5 people. They want to create a proof of concept where you will create a Snowflake data warehouse account for them and also want help them to understand the different features of Snowflake data warehouse and also tell them how they can leverage these people and how you can provide an environment for them, how you can create a Snowflake data warehouse account for them where you will create accounts for these people and how you can manage these peoples in the Snowflake data, right? So this is going to be very interesting thing. So let's get started one by one. Okay. So let us go to the Snowflake data warehouse account where website where we can actually create the Snowflake data warehouse. Okay. So now let's go to, you can go anywhere, either you can go to this over here. So you can say Snowflake data warehouse, warehouse, okay. So now this will come to this page. So over here you can see you will have multiple links. But go to this one where you get the signup.snowflake.com free trial. Okay. And this will take you the very first page where we can actually create a Snowflake data warehouse free trial account. Okay. So this is a trial account. This is not a regular account. So this is what was the requirement for the client as well. They just want a POC. They do not want to actually implement the Snowflake data warehouse, but they just want to create a Snowflake data warehouse account, for instance, where they can actually see the features. And then if they see like the features, then they will actually go with the Snowflake. So right now over here, you can see that the client is still looking out for the different features in the Snowflake data warehouse, want to get feel of it, how it looks like, because this is what they want. And if they like it, they will, of course, extend their licenses and everything, and then they will go. Okay. So as a part of this POC, we will create a Snowflake data warehouse trial account. So these are the different things which we get over there. So over here, we can see that start your 30-day free trial. So the free trial account, which we are just about to create, it is available for 30 days. We will see that how you can kind of reuse these things, but still for now, you can say that this constraint is 30 days. The account we will create, that will be only there for 30 days. And over here, it's saying something, start your 30-day free trial, which includes $400 worth of free usage. We will come back to that, but we will still mention over here that when we start creating the free trial, I'll note these things so that we can get back to them later on. It is a 30-day free trial, which includes $400 worth of $400 worth of free use. Okay. Because these things I also want to update to my client because I do not want to miss anything. So when we end up creating the Snowflake data warehouse account, we should be able to tell them so that they do not have any surprises. So we have to tell them that okay, this is going to be for 30 days, and then you can use it for, I mean, the whatever things you are using inside of this free trial, it should be within $400. If it exceeds $400, then you will have to pay. Or maybe if the customer comes up with the end of the day statuses, we should have all these things handy so that we can share these details with the client. Okay. So this is the very first most important thing which I want to tell to my. So let me register. I will register with my details. You can also give any details. Okay, it's not like they do not cross check it. If you want to give any name, if you do not want to give any name, you can also give anyone, anyone's name. And then I have to provide the company name. So let me see if I have one second. Let me see with this email if this is working. So you can give, I mean, you do not have to give your company email. It says company email, but you can also give your Gmail ID. So over here, this is fine. And then you can give any name. So then you do not have to give the accurate name. So you can give any name. You can also give any name. Okay. So nobody is stopping you from giving any. And then you can define your role within that company. So for example, if you are a BI analyst, you can give this role. If you're a data engineer, anything, you can decide it. So this time it is going to be a startup founder, for example, because this is a new company which has come up in the USA and they want to see. Okay, so let me put this one. Okay. And instead of this, let me give some other name. So star. So let's say this is the company name. And now over here, you can see that by continuing the button below, you understand that the Snowflake will process your personal information in accordance with the public policy. I may withdraw my consent through a subscribe link at any time. So if you want to read the privacy notice, what you are going to share with the Snowflake data warehouse, then you can go ahead. And you can also keep this subscription link with yourself if you want to, if you do not want to do all this stuff. Then you may also save these links if you want. But over here, we do not want to read all these things due to constraint in the time. So let's continue and agree to everything over here. So what Snowflake Data Warehouse is asking is that they the next thing which we have to decide is that what edition of this Snowflake Data Warehouse we actually need to have. Okay, so this was also one of the question which was asked to that. So now we have to decide for the client which edition they should go with. Okay. So for that we have very nice website over here. So if we go to Snowflake, Snowflake pricing. Okay, so in the Snowflake pricing, we can get.
I found the link. I can put it in the chat.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I guess this is the one. Is this the one, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I guess they changed the URL. First of all, it used to end with the slash pricing, but now they have changed the pricing option. And I can also see the website looks a bit different. Okay, so over here, so first thing is that if we come here, we can see that they are talking about different editions of this software. So now let's go to, let me go here and let's first of all see the what are different editions. So the Snowflake data warehouse comes with different editions and we just want to see what all different editions provide. So if we go to view all features, okay, so this is the feature matrix and it takes us to the Snowflake data warehouse documentation. Okay. Okay. So now over here, we can see that we have three different features. So it is similar to every product whenever we buy in the I mean cloud data warehouse, right? So we as if we look at the very first feature, we have in total four different editions of the Snowflake data. So the very first one, it is called the standard edition, and the standard edition has the most minimal number of features which are available to us. This is good for those who are just starting out in the Snowflake data warehouse and they want just very minimal number of features. They do not want very advanced features. For example, if we look at the standard feature, so over here we get different features like SOC Type 2 certification, SSO is also there, authorization is also supported. We have the automatic encryption of the data, object level access control, and over here we have something called as the standard time travel for accessing or recorded or restoring the modifying and deleting data. We have disaster recovery, and this is for 7 days through filter. Okay, so that is all we get from the standard edition. As you can see, this is a very plain vanilla Snowflake data warehouse account, and we do not get much of the features apart from, I mean, these are all security features like MFA, encryption. So it is secure account, but we get only these two features, right? Apart from that, so only these things. Apart from that, there is nothing under the standard edition. So we can say that the standard edition is an edition of Snowflake data warehouse, which gives us very basic details. It does not have a very detailed features or very complex details which are there. It is good for those who just need a plain Snowflake data warehouse account, which with very minimal features. It is at the very level. It is very secure. Don't think that the standard edition is not secure. It is secure. Over here. You can see that it shares the security features with all the different editions. But over here, in terms of features, it is just like it says have very basic. Okay, so I need to mention it over here. So we can say that if we talk about the addition of this Snowflake data warehouse, so that I can mention it to the client, and then based on that, we can also get back to them what addition you want. So we have a standard edition. Okay, so that this is a very basic Snowflake data warehouse instance. I mean, if we use it, it will create a very basic Snowflake data warehouse instance, um, which will be secure, of course, but lacks important features, for example, right? So we do not have a lot of features in that. And then the next edition, which we want to discuss right now, it is called an enterprise edition. The enterprise edition was called as standard plus. So maybe they mentioned this name over here. Okay, they have not mentioned it over here. So over here we can see that the enterprise. So the enterprise edition has all the features which are there in the standard, right? So here you can see that all the features which are in the standard, they are also in the enterprise. But on top of that, we have these many features in this edition, which is the enterprise edition. In the enterprise edition, we get extended time travel, which is up to 90 days. We get periodic reading of encrypted data. We get column level security. We get low row level security. We get aggregation policies, the reject or projection policies, object tagging. We get the data using classification. We have access policy. Okay. So over here, we can see that in addition to being a very secure Snowflake data warehouse account, we also get a Snowflake data warehouse account which has a lot of features on the data, right? So here we can see that all these different features are associated to data. So we can store data for a long amount of time. We have periodic re-encryption of the data. We have the column level security. We have row level security. So all these things, object tagging as well. So all these features are associated to making more sense of the data or to save data in a much better way into the Snowflake data. Right? So over here, what we have understood over here is that the enterprise edition. Yeah. So the enterprise edition, this edition this edition, we can say that this edition has all the features we have within the standard edition. On top of that, I will say plus. So it is actually called as standard plus. So on top of that plus, it it provides a lot of features to make our data secure and more reliable. So we get more reliable, more features which make our data reliable. For example, we have something called as the time travel. We have column level security, row level security, projection policies. Of these all things we will see in the future lectures. I mean, these are very important. And we also have we can see the user history, user access history, whosoever access our Snowflake data warehouse. So this is a very nice. But still, if someone is not, someone is not convinced and they want even more secure Snowflake data warehouse account, then they can go with the business critical. Okay. So the business critical is the next layer of Snowflake data warehouse account, which has features even more than the enterprise. For example, if we scroll down, so here you can see that it checks all the things which are there by the enterprise edition. On top of that, we have something called as a lot of features. So these are the more features. So we have try-secret secure. You can have the private connectivity to the Snowflake Data Warehouse services using AWS Private Link, Azure Private Link, Google Cloud Services Private Link, and support for private connectivity to Snowflake internal stages. We have the security for HIPAA. So this is also very important. HIPAA and high trust CSF regulations. So it says that the data which we have in the Snowflake data warehouse that should be respected, and we should not share any customer or any client related data to someone. Okay. So this is very important. And then again, PCI DSS also has the similar capability. So over here, PCI DSS also say that each person's data should, once it is stored, it should not be moved from one system to another system, and it should not be used for your analytic purposes. which is actually personalized. Okay, so PCI DSS is very, very important. And over here we have support for public sector workloads, so we need the federal and state government requirements. Okay? Like for example, FedRAMP and ETAR. And then on top of that, we have support for IRAP. So over here we can see that in the business critical, so if we just mention the business critical, so business critical offers three things. Okay, so first of all, it provides all the basic features, all the basic features, uh, all the basic features by the standard editions are there. Right? By the standard edition, they are there. And on top of that, so I'll mention plus in the end. Then on top of that, we get all the different data associated features. So the data security, so data security features are there, just like we have it in the enterprise. Okay, so that is why we can also say that enterprise plus. Okay, so it is standard plus, it is enterprise plus, and on top of that, we get a lot of different certifications. Okay, data related compliances. Okay, compliance. So over here, you can see that we get a lot of things. So the basic things are there, which makes our Snowflake Data Warehouse account securable. So this is what the Snowflake Data Warehouse Standard Edition says. It provides a secure account, okay, secure Snowflake Data Warehouse account. Okay, this we get. And then on top of that, we get very good data security features where we can have time travel, we can have row level access policies, the column level access policies. And then on top of that, not just that, we also get a lot of compliances which are there set up on the data account. So for example, we have HIPAA, we have the PCI DSS, PCI DSS is there, the high trust is also there. So all these things are already there, right? So we do not have to worry about. So if you are working with a US client, you should be very, very happy to tell them that this compliance is already there. If you have a customer who is from Europe, you will be very happy to tell them that PCI DSS is there. Because multiple countries have their own different rules and regulation and their roles. They have a lot of roles. For example, whenever you are in, for example, in the USA, the USA has a very strict policy on the data sharing and the data collaboration. So for example, whenever you are working with the US client, they would want your data warehouse to be already compliant with that because no customer has that much time to implement all these different, you can say the different policies or different compliances in their data. They do not want to go with that, but they will be very happy to know that these compliances are already in place. Like, they do not have to do anything. They do not have to meet any compliances. And whenever they want to do something, their data warehouse is already compatible with, right? So this is going to be very, very helpful. Okay. So these are the three different features which we have, or three different editions of the software data, right? And on top of that, we also have something called as VPS. VPS stands for Virtual Private Snowflake Data Warehouse Account. So this is, so now the last edition which we have is for the power users. Okay. So this stands for Virtual Private Snowflake Data Warehouse. Snowflake, Snowflake. Okay, there could be some set of users who are still not happy, who even want a stronger application of the Snowflake data warehouse. One thing which we will see over here is that if we go with these three set of additions, then everything is available in the Snowflake data warehouse. We cannot tweak with the hardware level. We cannot tweak at the software level. We cannot tweak anything because everything which is already there in the addition, we can use it as it is. We cannot tweak anything, right? But if you want to create something which is based on your requirement, for example, if you want to have some features which is not there by the Snowflake data warehouse, maybe if you have a new requirement which is not there being created by the Snowflake data. If you want to have a specific set of architecture, if you want to store your data in a specific way, which is in a non-standard way, right? So here we can see that if the requirement is that there are some features, some non-standard features are and non-standard features are required. So in this case, we will non-standard features are required. If this is the case, then companies should go with VPS, which is virtual private Snowflake data warehouse account. In this case, you cannot just get started if we just look over there. If we just go back one link behind, so if we go here, so you can see that you can get started with the standard edition. So by clicking over here, you can create your Snowflake data warehouse by going to the enterprise edition. You can also create your Snowflake data warehouse instance or edition use instance using this edition. But if you want to have the virtual private Snowflake account where you want some non-standard features or you want to have some additional features which are not there by Snowflake data warehouse team, then you cannot create your account directly. You will have to talk to Salesforce because this time you need some features which are not provided by Snowflake data warehouse account out of the box. So because you have new features, so that is why you might want to go with the you might have to first of all talk to Snowflake data warehouse team, and then they will tell you how to implement your scenario and how to implement the standard specific features you are asking. Okay, so that is why VPS is used by very big organizations who have very complex architecture and they want to implement the similar complex architecture into the software data. They want to go with the non-standard features, right? So this thing you so now over here you can see that we have got these three options. Whether we can go with the standard edition, whether we can go with the enterprise edition, so that as well, so that we can differentiation, we can go with enterprise edition, or we can also go with the business edition. We are not going to discuss with the VPS because for the VPS, we do not want to get in a call with the Snowflake data warehouse team and tell them our requirement. We just want to use one of the existing additions which are out. So over here, you can see that because it is a US client and US client is going for a POC, so it is better if we tell them that we are going with a business rate. So there are two advantages we can tell them if we go with the business critical. The very first thing is that you get most of the features which are there in the standard or in the enterprise. And then on top of that, we also have a lot of different compliances. And they can actually use these different compliances with the data which is already there in the software data warehouse. So they will be very happy to know that the addition which we have, it is already compliant. So they do not have to fetch multiple people. They do not have to do multiple audits into the Snowflake data warehouse to see whether everyone is complying with these things. So they are rest assured, they can be very confident that whatever is happening in the Snowflake data warehouse, it is already compliant. Okay. So there is no need to do additional headache. There is no need to have multiple data audits. They do not have to worry about what will happen if someone asks for the auditing from the third party as well. There are sometimes some people might come to your team and then they tell you that, okay, from a third party, they will come to you and they want to have some of the auditing of the Snowflake data warehouse, what you're all doing, how you're doing. So you do not have to worry about it, right? So you can tell them we are already compliant. So we are good. So now as a part of this one, so what we will go, we will decide the business critical for them. Okay, so this is going to be the addition we will tell them to use and we will show them, we will get all these things as a part. Okay, let's go back to the this page. So I close this. So now let's come back over here. So when we were creating this Snowflake data warehouse code, so over here, we were asked to choose the one of the addition. So we have decided that we will go with the business rate. Okay, so if you want to go with standard, you can select this radio button. If you want to go with enterprise, you can go over here. If you want to have the business critical, then you can select this. So once we have decided the addition of the Snowflake data warehouse, then we have to choose which cloud provider. As we all know, and just in case if you do not know, then the Snowflake data warehouse is available on the all the what you can say all the big players of the cloud providers, right? We can have our Snowflake data warehouse on Azure. We can have our Snowflake data warehouse account on AWS. We can also have our Snowflake data warehouse account on the GCP as well. Okay? So it's all up to you which cloud provider you want to go with. But this time, for example, let's say the client, which is there are a lot of things which actually decide this thing. So let us also understand how you can how the cloud provider choice affects your decision. So how we can decide the cloud provider? So how do I choose a cloud provider? Okay, so if we again go to this page, I think somewhere, yeah, they mentioned it over there. So over here, you can see that in this page is very helpful. Okay, so I'll just provide this page on the chat as well before you to explore later on. So I just want to show one. Okay, so please save this link so that you can explore this option later on because this page is very. So over here we can see that we have got an option two platforms. So we have got, oh, this is very good. So we have got three platforms. Okay, so if we scroll down, so we have three platforms like AWS, we have Azure, and we have GCP. Okay. And then what we can see is that what we discussed in one of the very first session is that every cloud provider is available in different regions. For example, if we want to see what all regions the AWS is available, so we can see this list. So the AWS is available with the Snowflake data warehouse in the US East, in US West, in the Dublin, Frankfurt, which is European Union. It is in Sydney, it is in Singapore, it is in Mumbai, if you are in India, it is in Tokyo, Japan, it is in London, Seoul. So here you can see that it is in Osaka, in Paris, in Switzerland as well. So here you can see that the Snowflake data warehouse is available with AWS in all these areas. But if you want to go with another cloud provider, for example, Azure, so let's see which all region it is in. So again, we have a good number of regions. So we have in USA, we have two regions, Virginia, we have the Washington, we have the Netherlands, East Australia, South Wales, and then Toronto, Canada. We have Singapore. We have again US government of Virginia, and then Loa. We have Tokyo, Ireland, Dubai. So Dubai was not there, but in India, it is in Pune. Okay. So we have Dubai, we have and then finally, we can also have it on the third platform. We can choose GCP because GCP is also a very major player of the cloud services. So over here, let's see where all it is available. So you can see that it is available in very limited places, like it is available in Iowa, in Virginia, Netherlands. So GCP is not available in India, Singapore, Australia, Paris. So all these things are missing. Okay. So now we can see that when we talked about our client is a US-based client. Right? So one thing, whenever we are creating a Snowflake data warehouse account, we need to be sure that the region which we are selecting, that region should be closest to the client as possible. Right? So the region, we have two things, right? First of all, we have to choose the cloud provider, and then we also have to choose the region. The region which we choose, it should be closer to the client, right? So I do not want my client to be, for example, if we look at example, this is your Snowflake data warehouse account. So Snowflake data warehouse account, and then, for example, the client is in this place. Okay, so because the Snowflake data warehouse account is going to be accessed through the browser. So, for example, this is the browser of a client. So this is the browser client of the client browser, and then your Snowflake data warehouse account will be accessed this way. So now you want the Snowflake data warehouse account to be available closer to the client, right? You do not want your client to be in USA, and then you have your Snowflake data warehouse account, for example, in um in Australia, for example, right? Sydney. You do not want to go with this one because you can very well imagine, although the Snowflake data warehouse account is very optimal, but still over here you can see that the client will have to send requests from USA to Sydney. It will take a lot of time, right? But if we go with European region, for example, if we go with Paris, then again, it will take relatively less time. You can see that if you are sending a request to a machine, which is very far from here, then it is going to take a lot of time for the request to reach from the client to the Snowflake data warehouse, and then the associated answers to be sent. So that is why when your client is in USA, you should go with the region which is closer to them, right? So that they can send their request easily and quickly to the Snowflake data warehouse, and then they can get their answer fast. It is just like in your normal life as well, right? So, for example, if I we all sit on a chair, right? So we all work entire day, and we all get hungry and thirsty multiple, right? For example, I work 9 hours a day, and during that 9 hours a day, for example, I want 9 cups of water, right? So you can think of it like I'm sitting somewhere, and the water cooler is, for example, is outside the building. It is 100 meters away, right, or 200 meters away from it. It is very small distance, but let's say that water cooler is 3 story up where I'm sitting. So you can very well imagine how difficult it is for me to go up there in the building and then come down. And for example, let's consider that I do not have a water bottle or glass with myself. So every time I have to go there, over there, I will have to drink the water directly from the water cooler and then come back and then go there, then come back. Then here you can see that it is going to be very difficult. So just like that as well, when we are having any resource which we are accessing and we want to access this resource multiple times, then we want that resource to be closer to us. It doesn't matter whether it is closer to other people, but because we want our client to have the best experience. We want our client to have the best experience of the Snowflake Data Warehouse account, quickly accessible, always available, and having the good features, best response time. So for these things, we want our client to be closer to the region where our Snowflake Data Warehouse account is. Okay. So now we can go with any cloud providers. So here you can see that when we go with, for example, AWS. So here you can see that it is available in Northern Virginia. It is available in Oregon, right? And in front, and apart from that, if we go with Azure, again in Azure, we have Virginia and Washington, and we have two different, right? But if we go with GCP, it is available in Iowa and Virginia. Right? So here you can see that Virginia is available for Northern Virginia. Virginia is available for all the different three counties or different regions in the USA. So for example, we can choose anyone, okay? Because right now it is available in all the countries, but it will create a difference if we go with for example, with India. Okay? So in AWS is available in Mumbai, and if we go with Azure, Azure is available in Pune. Okay. Where it is? Oh, in Pune. But if you want to go with GCP, GCP has no presence in India. It has no presence in Australia, no presence in I mean in Europe. It is also in only in Netherlands in London, right? So now these decisions will affect. But because the client is in USA, so we will just select the North Virginia USA. Okay, with AWS. It is fine. Okay. And they will be very happy to have AWS because AWS is very secure platform, and it is very, I mean, this is how your Snowflake data warehouse also started, right? Just in case if you are not aware, then the Snowflake data warehouse was first implemented on the AWS. So it was later on developed on the Azure and then on GCP. So AWS was the very first team or the very first cloud providers who helped the Snowflake data warehouse to create their accounts and to have their architecture ready on that platform. Okay. So they will be very happy to know that you went with the platform which was used for the very first time to create the Snowflake data warehouse. So now we will say that so which cloud provider? We will go with AWS, and then we will also define the region, and the region is going to be US East Virginia, North Virginia, sorry, Netherlands Virginia, Northern Virginia. Okay, so this is going to be the region. Okay, over here, let me mention it over here as well. So the Snowflake data warehouse is available in Northern Virginia, and then it is very close to the client, and then we are going to go with the AWS cloud provider. Okay, that's good. And now let's go to the previous page where we are going to go. So this time we have decided that we will go with AWS, okay? And then we have to provide the region, which region you want in the AWS, right? So over here we will go with Northern Virginia. Okay, okay. So this is fine. Okay. So now we have decided one more thing. So these are the decisions which we have made so far. We have decided the Snowflake edition, which edition we want. We want business critical. Which cloud provider we want. We want the AWS cloud provider. And then we have also decided the region where we want our AWS account. And then over here, once we have decided everything, it will tell us to check this box to indicate that you have read and agreed to the terms and conditions. So over here, if you want, you can also read this link, which provides the terms and agreement you are agreeing to. And if you're not interested, you can completely skip this and you can say get started. Okay? And then you will have to select all the scares with the motorcycle to tell that you are not a robot. So I don't know where it is. Okay, I guess this is where the motorcycle. I'm not sure. Let's check this. Okay, I guess yeah, we were right. So now we can now go to the next tab. It is saying that thank you so much for signing up with the Snowflake. And then it is saying that help us serve you better by answering this question. If you're interested, you can answer these questions, but if you're not, it is not mandatory. You can also skip this question. Okay. So you can skip this. If you want to answer, you can also answer, but it is not. So now what it is saying that you are now signed up. An activation email has been sent to this email ID to which we registered. Okay. Yeah, Nishan, can you hear me? Okay. So Nishan, this is the third session of this Snowflake data. We have had the two sessions before, and those two sessions are available in the YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube, over there you can go to the data vision. Okay, so this is the channel name, and over here you can find this session. So this was the session number 1, where we talked about why everyone is switching to Snowflake Data Warehouse, and this is the second session where we talked about the architecture of. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now let's continue from where we left. Okay, so now it is saying that you are signed up and an activation email has been sent to the email ID, which we have mentioned. Okay, so this is the email ID which I mentioned during the account creation. It may take a few minutes to arrive. Okay. During that time, if you want, you can get started with this video. You can see a quick tour of the Snowflake platform. If you want, you can also have a virtual hands-on lab, and you can also see the documentation where it is. Okay. So let's do one thing. Let's see if the activation email has been sent to this email. So for that, let me open Gmail. Okay, I need to change this account. I need to change my user. Okay, so over here we can see that we have received this mail from the Snowflake account. So it is saying that activate your Snowflake account. It is saying congratulations. This one. So congratulations on getting started with the Snowflake. Click the below button to activate account or you activate your account. Okay, so for now our account is created for us, but the account is not activated. We have to activate it from here. So this is the button from where we can activate this. And the one thing which we have to remember over here is that it says the activation link is temporary and it will expire in 72 hours. Okay, so you have to activate within 3 days. Okay. And this is the single entry point for your Snowflake data warehouse. So this is something which we saw in the very beginning lectures, is that the Snowflake data warehouse is going to have a single entry point. Okay, so this is the single entry point. Everyone, no matter who you are, whether you are a developer, whether you are a experienced admin, whether you are a customer, whether you are a functional. So Snowflake data warehouse is only a single gate. There is only a single gate through which everyone can enter into the Snowflake data warehouse, right? So this is the gate. So this is the entry gate. Okay, so whosoever is going to go, whosoever wants to use this Snowflake data warehouse, they have to use this link. Okay. So that is what it is saying. Save this link for later. Once your account is activated, you can use this link later on. So you might want to save this link or you might want to bookmark this link. So to keep it handy. So now let me save this link and let us go. Let me click on it. Okay, so now it will take me to the Snowflake Developers account, which is going to get created. And now let me see what all we have to provide. So now it is saying, welcome to Snowflake. Please choose a username and password to get started. So there are a few things which we have to remember. The username can contain only letters, numbers. Oh, okay, then the password, your password must be 8 to 256 character long and contain at least one number. Special characters is not mandatory. And then one uppercase and one lowercase letter. Okay. So let's see what we are trying to do over here. So until now, what we have got, so what this step is. So now we have got a Snowflake data warehouse instance, and this Snowflake data warehouse instance, we have received the URL as well. Okay, so let me make this bigger. So, and let me make this image a bit bigger. And this box is going to represent the Snowflake data warehouse instance which we just did. Snowflake data warehouse instance. Okay? It is called an instance because it is just a one host with, just one instance which is hosted. So this is the instance, and let me start looking. And then this instance is going to have a single URL. So for example, we have a dedicated URL, right? So this instance has a dedicated. So everyone, no matter who that user is, they will have to come to this URL and then they will have to get them, right? So over here, what we have done so far, we have decided it to be based on the AWS. So the infrastructure as a service is going to be provided by AWS. We have AWS, and the addition which we have chosen over here is called as business. So we will mention all these things. So we have business critical, and then we have got it the AWS and the Snowflake data warehouse instance is created. We have got the dedicated URL and whatnot on top of that. Let me see. So, and the region as well. So now we have it not on the AWS, we also have it available on the Northern Virginia. Okay. So these things is there. But right now it is just a blank box, right? It is just a blank box full of features. But we want someone who can access the system, right? We do not have anything, right? We know how to connect to it, but we do not have any person who can use the Snowflake data warehouse. So for the very first thing, when we are connecting to the Snowflake data warehouse, before connecting to it, we need a user, right? Who can actually log in into this system. We do not have any user inside of this box. This box is full of features, but this box has no user here. So that is why we have to create the very first user in the Snowflake database. Okay. So now, whatever details we will give here, this user is going to be the very first user of the Snowflake data warehouse, and this person will have the complete control of the Snowflake data warehouse. This person you can think of to be the administrator or the DB admin of the Snowflake, right? So whatever username or password, so whatever username or the username and the password, whatever username and password we are going to provide now, this username and password will create the very first user. Again, I'm repeating, this is going to create the very first user in the Snowflake data warehouse. And this user you can think of to be a DB admin. Okay, so this user is going to have the full control over the Snowflake data warehouse. Okay. So be very careful with this user. We do not want to share the username and password of this user because this user can do anything in the Snowflake data. So be very careful. So now what we want to do, so the very first thing, so the next step is to create this user to give the username and password. Okay. So username can be anything. So over here you can see that there is no restriction to the length of the username. It can contain only number and letters, but there is no restriction like the username should be 5 characters long, 10 characters long. But we will just provide any name. So I'll give, for example, you can give any name. Okay. So not a restriction, right? And then you can give any password. But in the password, we have to remember, during the password, you have to remember that it should be between 8 to 256 characters. It cannot be less than 8 characters. So let me provide that. Okay, so let me see if it is valid. Okay, so it is valid. If it is not valid, then we will see that. So if it is, so now here you can see that I just mentioned 4 characters, so that is why it is giving errors that it is not. Okay. So this is how you can actually know whether the password is right or not. Let me retype the same password over here. Okay, so now once everything is good, you will get this blue button. It will get activated to get started. This is the very first username, and this is the password, and this will create the very first user in my Snowflake data. Okay, so now here you can see that now we are in the Snowflake data warehouse, and the Snowflake data warehouse account is created for us. So, and the very first user is now created. So it says, welcome to Snowflake. How do you want to get started? Whether you want to explore a data set or whether you want to load data into Snowflake data warehouse, but we are not interested in these things. We will do it later on. We will skip it. Okay, let me close all the things which are there. And you can see a very nice dark mode, which is available in the Snowflake data warehouse. So let me see what all things are there. Okay, so for the very first thing which we can see over here, it says preview. So it is there. It is saying that you are in the free trial account. It is a preview account. It is not an actual account. Yeah. So this is the very first thing which you can see. There are some quick actions which are also available over there. So for example, we can upload the local files, we can load the files from the cloud storage, we can query the data, or we can create the user. Okay, so this is going to be very. And there are some things which are already available: projects, worksheets, notebooks, Streamlit, dashboard. We will see this later on, what these things are. And then if we come to the left side over here, then you can get started creately. You can create anything directly from it, right? We will come back to these options. So, and then we are in the home button. So this is the home button for this user where they can see everything. They get the quick actions, menu, and all the things they can set started. If you want to search something in this Snowflake data warehouse account, you can search it from here. You can see all the projects over here, which are the part of these things. And then in the data, you can actually get started with the databases on all this. Okay. You can see the data products, you can see do AIML, and then you can monitor your Snowflake data warehouse from here. And on top of that, you can also do your admin stuff. Okay. So here you can see that the user, which I am logged in right now as, because that is an admin, so that is why I am able to see everything. Okay, I can see all these different admin options. But it depends on which user you are, because if you are not an admin, if you do not have the full access, you will not be able to see this option. Right? So based on whatever access you have, you will see only those many options, because right now I'm an administrator of the system, so that is why I'm able to see it. Okay. So over here, if you look over here, if we look over here, so the very first thing is that you can see that we have $400 worth of free usage. So that is why we can keep track of it very easily. Okay. So we can see that right now, because we have not done anything, we have not used this Snowflake data warehouse account at all. So that why it is still saying that out of your $400 is left. Okay, this is what we. So you can also use this detail. We will come back to this later on using the trial credentials and credit consumption table. So this will actually give you more details. And if you want to upgrade, you can also do upgrade. And again, one more thing which they have mentioned is that we have 30 days left in the trial. So that is why you can see that this number will keep on decreasing and it will be up to 30 days. So we can go beyond 30. And then finally, we have got the user detail. So as we mentioned that the user we are logged in with, that user, this is going to be the very first user. So let's see what all are the different details we have. So if we click over here, so the very first thing is say that I am an account administrator. Because this user has full control of the Snowflake data warehouse, they can assume any role. They can be an account administrator, they can be an organization administrator, he can assume any role. Okay? A security admin, sysadmin, user admin, we will see what these roles actually mean, what a person with a specific role can do, what is user management and the role management in the next session. Okay? So over here you can see that this person can become anyone. And by default, this person is the account admin, or you can say this is the DBA. Okay? So whatever name you want. And then this is the, oh, sorry, this is the account detail. I have actually multiple accounts created in the history as well. So you can ignore this. This all are trial account which I created historically. Okay, and this is the one which is open right. Okay, so over here you can see that this is the active one. So although there are multiple accounts created previously, you will see only this one. Okay, so don't worry about this if you do not see this long list. This is because I created this previously. So this is the active one which is created. So you can see that this is active, the right click in front of it. And over here you can copy the account URL. So this is going to be the same as which was provided in the email ID. This is going to be the single entry point. Or you can also copy the account identifier. We will see why these are important. So let me copy this and let me give this somewhere. So account URL is going to be the same as which we have this one. So the account URL is the account URL. So here you can see that it matches this one. Oh, am I in the wrong one? Here it's let me check this one. And then let me also copy the account identifier. So the account identifier is this one. Okay. null.scb887. So why it is not showing the nice information? Once again. It is AOIO. So why the addition is not available? Okay, no worries. We will check this later. So now over here, we can get the account identifier. We can also get the account copy account URL. Okay. And this is the locator. Addition is not available. Not a problem. And then over here, if we look, keep going down, you can see the profile. Okay, so this profile is going to be very, very important. In this profile, you can see your details and you can also reset your details. So over here, if you want to upload your photo, you can upload your photo from here. This is your initials, for example. You can mention it like this, and then you can upload photo. This is the username which we provided, and over here you can see that you cannot change your username. Whatever username you have provided for the very first time, you cannot change it. And then you can change your first name and password later on as well. So whatever first name and last name you provided, you can change them. You can also change your email ID, registered email ID, just in case if you want to change it, you can change it. If you want to change your password, you can also change your password from it, right? So whatever details we provided, apart from the username, we can change it. So we can change first name, last name, email ID, and the password as well by clicking this pencil icon. So over here, you can first of all provide the current password which we set, and then you can change it to any other password. Okay, so you have to provide that new password, right? Just like we did previously. And then we have something called as MFA, which is multi-factor authentication. Let's see what is that. Okay. So now over here, we have got a username and password. And now what we have done so far is that, for example, we have opened a browser, and then through this browser, we logged in into the Snowflake data warehouse. So through the browser, we went to this dedicated URL, we provided this dedicated URL, and then in this URL, we provide this username and password, right? And we are having full control. But this is not a very secure place to be, right? Because this is username and password. And for example, you have seen, right? For example, if I save all the details over here, my username is, for example, this one. And for example, if I also mention my password, right? So for example, if not a complete password, I will say like this. Okay, I'll mention it like this. And I keep my laptop like this. And for example, some of my colleague comes to me and they tell me, okay, can you give me laptop for a few minutes? I just want to send a quick message to someone on the Teams, right? So what they will do, they will, for example, come to the Teams on this system, they do a chit chat with someone, and then accidentally they come across something very, very interesting. So now once they open your system, they have got all the details of your user ID and your password, and they can also see the URL. So they can go to this URL, and then they can provide your username, and then they can provide your password. Because you are the DB admin, then that person can compromise your Snowflake data warehouse. They can delete anything, they can create anything, they can delete any database, any user, anything. They can revoke the access of a client as well, right? So this user ID and password must be very, very carefully restored somewhere or kept somewhere. It should not be done in public, right? So that is why the multi-factor authentication comes into picture. So let's see what multi-factor authentication is. It is also called as MFA. So MFA is short form for multi or multi. I think everyone of us might have used Facebook, right? So in the Facebook as well, what happens is that when you provide the username and password, in addition, once you provide the correct username and password, then you will have to provide a PIN. Okay? You have to provide an OTP which comes to your registered phone. Right? So everyone is aware of that. Has everyone used this Instagram or Facebook accounts? Everyone might be using it, right? Anyone,
Yes.
right? So that is multi-factor authentication. So that means that you will have to get yourself authenticated twice. Even if someone has your Facebook user ID and password, you can still be very secure. You know that whenever, for example, whenever wrong person is trying to log into your Facebook account, even if that person has your user ID and password, still your phone number, your registered phone number with the Facebook account will come to your phone number, and only after someone gives that pin into that pin into your account by logging in, only then you will be able to. If someone does not have access to your phone, then you are fine. Hopefully, when you left these details to these, if you, when you left these details, you should not keep your phone around that, right? In that case, they will also get the OTP, right? So this way, what we say that someone can get these details, but it is very difficult for someone to get access to a phone and also provide the OTP. For example, if you are sitting next to him, then of course they can copy these details, but the phone will be with you. It will be in pocket, will be somewhere else, and then you can say that, oh, why is there OTP? If someone is trying to access my user ID, someone is trying to access my account. So you can be very well aware of the situation, and then you can also escalate these details to someone else that my account has been compromised, and then you can come to your account again later on, and then you can change your password, right? You can come here and then, okay, you say that someone was trying to access my user ID password. Maybe someone has my details. I will change my password. Okay. So this is where your multi-factor authentication will help. So if you want to have that kind of scenario over here, when you log into your Snowflake data warehouse and everything, every time you log in, you also get a OTP or any number, any registration code on your not registration code, but login code to your registered device. Then you can register your device over here, right? So there are some options which we have over here. Okay, so now over here, we have to do the setup. So if we start the setup over here, then you will have to register with your mobile phone. You can register with the tablet. You can also register with the landline as well. So every time someone will log in, the call will come to this landline, and they will tell the details that, hi, you are trying to log into your account. Let me know if you want to know your OTP. Okay. So they will speak that. Hello. Yes, Supal.
Sorry, I missed this part, but how do you get to the enroll multi-factor? Like to that
So
part?
over here, if I cancel it over here. So if you come here and then you go to my profile, and over here we have this one enroll, MFA enroll.
Okay.
So now over here, we have to provide the device which you want to set up, and then it is recommended to use mobile phone. Of course, because mobile phone is in everyone and nobody loses it. But laptop, you can leave it on a desk. It is because it is very big. Okay. And landline, again, the landline can also be picked by someone who is sitting next to your system. And then you can register your phone number if you are whichever country you are in. For example, you can provide your phone number, right? And then you can register. Okay. So I'm not going to next steps. Okay. So for example, if I provide my phone number, and then I can go ahead and I can register my phone number with this Snowflake data warehouse account for the multi-factor authentication. And you can have multiple options, like you can, whether you want to go with Microsoft Authenticator, whether you want to go with Okta. So there are different software which we also need to install on our system, where we will actually get the PIN. Yeah. So you can, if you are interested, you can go ahead and you can register your phone number, and it is very, very easy. Okay, so this is multi-factor authentication, which you will be very interested. And now over here, you can see that what is the default role and the default warehouse which is associated with this user. Right? So over here, we have seen that. So now over here, what we can see is that we have got, okay. So now if we come back, so over here, we can see that what is the default role of this user who is logged in, and what is the default warehouse this user is going to use. Yeah. So over here, we have already seen that by default, this user is going to be an account administrator. There are some virtual warehouses. We will talk about this, but right now we want to go with the details. These details are also very important. When you log in, which role you want to assume when you log in by default. A person can have different roles. A person can be a database administrator, a person can be developer, a person can be an auditor, but you want to assign them specific role when they log in based on what is their usual things they do in their Snowflake data warehouse. And also on top of that, you also want to assign us, there could be 10 different virtual warehouses which are assigned to a user, but you want to associate a user with any default warehouse which they can use. We will understand these things later on when we will deep dive into this requirement. Okay. So over here, this requirement is somehow associated to this one. So stay tuned. Okay. So we will understand in this context. Okay. So there are multiple users. There are going to be multiple roles. There are going to be multiple warehouses. So we want to restrict someone to a specific role and to a specific virtual warehouse. So this thing, so stay tuned for that. We will see this in that option. So that is why we have got this requirement so that we can understand this thing. And the default language which you want to use, we have got English, Japanese, and French. So I guess, yeah, this is Japanese. So these are the three languages which you have got in the Snowflake data warehouse. If you want to use a different language, then you can select it as well. And you can also you can say that email notification. If you want to register for email notification, there is something called as resource monitors, which we will see in the next session. And then if you want to send the emails to your account, to your registered email ID, and if you also want to okay, one second. And then if you also want to have the email sent, the notification sent to you as soon as the queries in the background finish, you can also set it up. So now, for now, let's allow this, right? For sending the notification, it's all good. And these are not mandatory. You can also live without it, so not a problem. So even if you do not set it up, if we are all good. Okay, so this is not mandatory. So let me set this up, and then let me save it. Okay, so these are all the different profile settings which we have set up. And then we also have a support. So in the support, you can go over here and you can ask your queries. So in this Snowflake data warehouse, we have got full support. If you have some questions, you can enable the support first thing first, which we have to do. And through this, whenever you come to any queries, any issues, then you can raise your support ticket. So this support will ticket will go to Snowflake Data Warehouse. So for example, you can come here. For example, the Snowflake Data Warehouse account is not, is opening, of course. That is why that is how you will. If the Snowflake Data Warehouse is not opening, you cannot come to this page. If the Snowflake Data Warehouse is opening, and then you are not able to find some information, some details, some table is not found, some table historical data is not there, or you created a query, that query is not there, or a user is not there. So maybe if you come across some things which is not something which is unexpected, right? So for example, you give a short query, the user details are missing, right? So you set some missing details, or maybe you set up for the notification, or you set up for an MFA. So you can say that MFA is not working, right? And then you will have to provide the details. Like I set up my MFA with this phone number, and then I provided all the details. It was okay fine till yesterday, but today when I logged in, no message or no pin was sent to my number, and I was able to log in directly. And then you can give a category, for example, your which it is going to be going under the uh, it can be anything, right? So you can say app services, for example, right? And then you can provide the subquery, so whatever it is. And then you can attach the screenshot if you have how severe that thing is. Because it is a free trial, you cannot have the critical, high, or medium. You can also only raise the queries which is of, say, level 2, of the level severity. So this is SCV severity. So you can only raise your issue with the lowest severity. If you want to have a higher severity incident, then you will have to upgrade. You will have to pay for additionally for raising your issue with the higher precedence. This is the query ID. If you want to provide a query ID, we will talk about this. So if you just want to look at it, this is something which we talked about in the last session. So every query is going to have a query ID. So if there is a problem with a specific query, you can also give the query ID over here. You can give your comment, you can add the query, and then you can add someone else who you want to be a watcher. For example, you can add your manager, you can add your teammate who is also having the same issue, or who also wants to know what is the status of this ticket, right? And then you can create your support ticket from here as well. This is very, very helpful. So this is a very nice thing from the Snowflake data warehouse. Although we are using a free trial, but still we have full support and full help from them. If we come across any issues, we can still raise a ticket. Although it is of the lowest priority, but still we will hear back from them. Okay. And the next, you can go with the appearances, how you want to use it, whether you want to go with the light mode, dark mode, or you want to go with system. So this is the right mode where this was actually by default, this is how Snowflake Data Warehouse looked previously. You have got the system mode where everything looks like you are using a non-Windows system, or you can also, this is all same, right? So there is very less difference between system and dark mode. If you will look very carefully, it will only show very minimal differences. But if you like this one, the bright look, then you can also go with it. Then we can also have some client downloads from here if you want. then it will take you to different place where you can download multiple softwares, and then for the connectivity purposes, we will come back to that later on. And then we can also see the documentation. From here, you can directly go to the documentation of the Snowflake data warehouse. And then over here, you can see the privacy notice, which we also, I mean, we noticed in the beginning as well, which we by default just provided yes to everything. But if still you are interested in the privacy notice, what all are the different privacy things which you have said yes to, and what type of information we provide, what they automatically collect, the information they receive from third parties, how they use the information they collect. So all these things you can learn about on the software development. Okay, so let's continue from there, and then you can also sign out from there. So this is the place where you can sign out. So if you sign out, then you will come back to the login page, right? So I guess let me see which is the one we can. Okay, so this is SCB881. Okay, this is the one. Okay, so now I want to sign into this page. Okay, okay, so now it is using for the username and password which we provided for the very first time. Let me log in that because I saved it over here. So it is working like this. If it is not saved, then you can provide a username and password which you set up. And because this is not an MFA, so this will just open your account as we left it. Okay. So today we have learned how we can create a Snowflake data warehouse account, what are the different things, and we have also done a very quick high level overview of the user creation. So right now we have got one user in the Snowflake data warehouse account. The only thing which we have which we have mentioned over here, this user is going to have full access to the Snowflake data warehouse. But moving forward, when we will discuss about the user requirement, where we need to create multiple users, give them a specific rights, and then all these things over here, we will see that how we can create additional set of users, how we can make sure that a specific set of users have specific roles, and then based on that, how they have something called as default role and the default warehouses. For example, the data scientist should have a default role of data scientist because they want to access the AML capabilities. We want data analysts to have a specific set of roles so that they can do their data analysis, they can play around with the data, they can load the data, they can delete the data. And then we want DDB admins to run any query, to run all the administrator related tasks. We want testing people to access the database artifacts so that they can run the analytical queries and they can run the queries which will help them to validate the data, right? So over here we will see how the default role and the default warehouse option comes into play. And for tomorrow, we will deep dive into something called as warehouses. So now we have seen that everything, but we will continue on this path to explore the Snowflake data warehouse account. Because if we come down, you will see that with every different edition mentioned, there is something called as per credit. There is something called as credit. So this is also very important to understand. So tomorrow we will start from here. So what are credits? How we can use credits and how much credits we get and how we are charged in the Snowflake data warehouse. And from there, we will start with the something called as Virtual. Okay. So that is it for today. Thank you so much. I hope you all enjoyed today's session. So one more thing which I would highly recommend is that you also create the Snowflake data warehouse account on your own as well, so that when we do the hands-on, you can also do the same thing from on your side as well. So please go through this video, please go through all of these steps and then create your Snowflake data warehouse account, which we are going to use for the next all the future lectures of the Snowflake data warehouse. And if you face any issues, do please let me know, even in the WhatsApp group or anywhere else where you want to connect to, even on the YouTube channel. You can ask your questions down the video so that we can get back to you and you can get started. Okay, so this is something mandatory. It is not kind of very mandatory, but it is good if you want to go to the next sessions. It would be great if you have the Snowflake data warehouse account available. Okay. Are we all good? So please create your accounts and we will meet tomorrow with the fourth session of Snowflake Data Warehouse account where we will deep dive, because until now we have just answered these questions. We are yet to answer the client of how much storage we need to use, how to create these users, how to create all these things. So we will continue from here and we will keep exploring this method. Thank you. Have a very good day.